What's poppin', everybody? It's your boy Snowy Kurama. Welcome to the final week of the main season for LBL Games of the Week, aka Week 9. If you've missed the last couple of episodes, why are you watching this one? Why are you watching number 9 before number 1, you silly goose? Go ahead and check that out. There's a playlist somewhere on the channel. But for those of you who want to recap, this is where I take the most favorite games of mine from each of 3 skill-based divisions and put them up here on the YouTubes to go over and to tell you what I liked and other things like that. So if that is what you're into, go ahead and hit that like button. We have a couple more episodes left of this Games of the Week series, even after the main season ends. So we got quarters, we got semis, we got finals, etc., 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 etc. We'll go ahead and get into our dice roll. 1-4 is Midnight, 2-5 is Midday, and 3-6 is Dusk. We're watching Midday first. That's what it is. I know what you're expecting, folks. You're expecting another Sound of Snow entrance. A look into his games. But I have banned Sound of Snow from appearing in any future LBL Games of the Week videos for the main season, aka just this one. So we might see him later on, who knows, but this one is... Crap, who's the Silver Knights? Holy Macaroni against Driver. Let's go ahead and get into this. What are they leading? I mean... I want to say Glamora, but I also think that's a little too basic. Let's go Landorus Therian versus the Rabombi. Yeah, Typhlosion, just kidding, against the Quaquaval. Sometimes we don't hit it. Sometimes we don't hit it, folks. Holy Macaroni has the Terra. Who knows? Might be Fire, Hisuian, this guy, Typhlosion. And then we see on Driver's team, the Ground Quaquaval is all that we know. So there might be some stab Terras coming off. We see a flip turn coming from the Quaquaval. I sure as shit hope that Holy Macaroni was not planning on using Eruption. Clodsire comes on in. We see Solar Beam, Power Herb Solar Beam, ladies and gentlemen. I haven't seen a Typhlosion do that in a little bit, but I also haven't really seen a Typhlosion used. They might be correlating, who really knows. Doesn't do a ton to the Clodsire because this thing is specially defensive and is it's a neutral hit. We see an Earthworm take its place just in case there's an Earthquake, but we see a Spikes coming off instead on the Clodsire. Rabombi comes and takes its place. We see a Coil Earthworm. Sticky Web, we see an Ironhead crit, but it's a sash, so crit don't really matter. Bug Buzz doing a little bit of a chunk to this Earthworm here. I'm not sure if this thing is defensive or if it's just max HP, max attack. That could be what it is. We see a Body Press killing the Rabombi. Clodsire comes on in. We see an Earthquake doing quite a bit to the Clodsire. Low kick Clodsire, ladies and gentlemen. I don't think I've seen this thing kick anything before until right now, but it does a good chunk to the Earthworm despite the +1 to defense. This thing's defense stat's pretty good. Bronzong comes in, and it's Levitate, because of course it is. That's just what Bronzong does. Body Press doing not too much to this Bronzong, and we see a red card. Yep, another red card. 2 weeks in a row for the red card, folks. Masquerain comes on in. We see a Nightshade, and then a Quiver Dance. Are we setting up to sweep, folks? We see a Clodsire coming on in after the light screen. Quiver Dances up one more time. Air Slash trying to get them flinches, but it doesn't work because we see Clodsire coming all the way back up to damn near full. Giga Drain doing nothing because it's a Clodsire. Poison Jab doing quite a bit of damage to the Masquerain. We see an Air Slash come off. and then another Spikes. We're just stacking the layers on top of Holy Macaroni's team. See an air slash miss, unfortunately, and then a poison jab takes out the scary, scary Masquerain. Glimmora comes in to take the place of Masquerain. You see Bronzong coming in. See Meteor Beam. Power Herb, Meteor Beam. Just Power Herb on the whole squad, why don't you? See a Power Gem coming off to attempt to take down the Bronzong. We miss it out by 2%. Light screens up again. We see a Rock Polish. See a Nightshade coming off. So this thing is basically just specially offensive Dragon Dance at this point against this screens guy here. See a Power Gem taking down the Bronzong. Clodsire comes back in. We see an Earth Power coming off doing nothing. A low kick. We see the Toxic Debris. So now this Clodsire definitely has to switch out to let one of his friends take the brunt of the hits, unless this Quackleval. Okay, it is heavy duty boots, so this thing will be able to just spin away these toxic spikes, no problem. Earth Powers again, does nothing. And then a low kick to get up some more toxic spikes from the Glimmora. But that was clearly to just, thinking of a word, stall out these screens. Earth Power does quite a bit. Low kick crit doesn't matter because Glimmora is living that thing. And Earth Power takes out the Clodsire. We see the Iron Bundle coming in. I was expecting to see a Quackleval, but the Glimmora definitely outspeeds, so this is definitely better, which is great for Holy Macaroni considering that it's now toxic. Flip turn takes out the Glimmora. We see a Quackleval coming in to get rid of them toxic spikes, and we see a Sceptile coming on in. No boots on this thing. We see the Endure. We see a Triple Axle. We see a plus attack berry. What is that? Lychee Berry? See a Lychee Berry Unburden. We see a Leaf Blade coming off, killing that Quackleval. Them spikes are here to stay. The Iron Bundle comes in. We see another Endure flip turn out into the Roaring Moon. I don't think this thing is Drain Punch, unfortunately, for the Sceptile. See the Acrobatics. We see also the Photosynthesis attack on Roaring Moon, which Acrobatics backs and takes that thing out. We see an Intimidate off from the Landorus. Orthworm comes in, taking them spikes. And then Lash Out, which will go ahead and kill it. What the hell is Lash Out? Is that the thing where it's, if it's stat is lowered, it does more damage or something? That's a pretty good bring against the Intimidate. We see the Hisuian Typhlosion coming on in, and the Lash Out again, killing it. And then the Roaring Moon goes down as well. So this is Iron Bundle versus Landorus Therian. We take a Sash hit from the bundle. We hit the Stone Edge. Not enough, but the Toxic from the Toxic Spikes is... That is a very hype game. I loved the Lychee Berry set on this Typhlosion. The Power Herb on these guys are very cool. I think Power Herb Glimmora is much more common. The Coil was great here. Loved it. Red card was, I think, you. Yeah, the Bronzong was red card. And that was just great. I loved seeing them heat sets. Great job to these Midday guys. 1, 2, 3 is Midnight. 4, 5, 6 is Dusk. We see Midnight. Ladies and gentlemen, the resident LBL crackhead Iger is back against Table Guy, who we did see last week, which would have been something that disqualified this game to be this week's game of the week. But there's a specific reason why I wanted to keep this game, and we'll see. We'll see in just a second. Anyway, what do we think we're gonna lead off here? I mean, Annihilate's pretty good, right? But I don't know if it would be a lead. It's hard to really tell what Iger would want to lead with here. Maybe the Jirachi. Jirachi has rocks. Jirachi can U-turn. I'll say that thing. And then on Table Guy's team... Last time we saw Blastoise, so I don't even know what to expect anymore. probably the Cinderace. So I don't think Iger leads Iron Moth. Even if he did, that's her U-turn, right? 370, 350, but it could be booster speed. I'm gonna go and say Cinderace in Jirachi. We see the Slowking and we see the Noivern, so I don't know what the hell I'm talking about these days. Clearly. Terra types for Table Guy is... looks like Water on Thundurus. And then Iger we have... I think he just has the Terra Grass Ogerpon. And here we see the reason why I wanted to show this game. Bro has, which I think is actually a good idea when it comes to the builder. His nicknames are the Pokemon that this thing is here to check or counter. So this thing is named Cind plus Quag because Noivern is here for Cinderace or Quagsire. So now Table Guy knows to be careful with his Cinderace around the Noivern. And he's got a bunch of other nicknames that do the same thing because he forgot to change them before the match. He can't make this shit up. He really can't. Let's see what they're going to try to do. I might need a moment. Okay, I'm back. Let's see. We see the Covert Cloak on the Hierophant, the Slowking, which is pretty good information. See it going out into Jirachi. Unsure why there wasn't a U-turn, but... oh, I did not pause that like I thought I did. Not sure why there wasn't a U-turn, but there wasn't a U-turn. Maybe just isn't carrying it. We see Jirachi coming on in on this thing. See a Thunder Wave. Pretty good on Table Guy's part. Thunder Wave is a crazy broken move. See Body Slam coming off, trying to get that Para back, and then we see a Chilly Reception on out into the Cinderace. Oh, what was that nickname on that guy? It was Thund plus Glow plus Lat. So this thing is here for the Glow King, clearly. I don't know if you knew that or not. But, Cinderace comes on in. You see a Noivern coming on in, because, you know, this thing is here for the Cinderace. We see a Choice Band Frisk on there, pretty good information. Pyro Ball doing almost half, and we see a Burn taking it down to half. So this is not good for the Noivern. We see a Roost coming on off. We'll probably see another Pyro Ball, because it's clear that this thing can stay in on the Noivern. Or that the Noivern will stay in. We see a Latias taking the place of the Cinderace. Jirachi comes on in. We see the Recover, but not doing anything to scout that. We see an Earthquake coming off on the Latias. We see a physical Latias. Not something that I noticed the first time I watched this. That's pretty clean. I was probably too busy laughing at this shit right here. See a Body Slam coming off. Not doing a lot to the Latias, but he's definitely fishing for the Para. Meowscarada comes on in. We see a Wish coming off on the Jirachi. Do we see a Protect? No, we see a switch into the Iron Moth, knocking off the heavy-duty boots, but we get back all that HP on the Iron Moth, aka Meow plus Sand plus Tank. See the Slowking coming in, because of course we see that Meow, and then we see a U-turn coming from the Iron Moth, which isn't something that I think I knew it got. I definitely don't see it often. See it coming into the Jirachi, which is here for the Slowking, clearly. It's paralyzed, very unfortunate. We see a Psychic Noise, which I think blocks healing. Yep. So no leftovers for you, which, yeah, it looks like your leftovers. See another Paralyze on the Jirachi. Very unfortunate. And then free Chilly Reception on out into the Meowscarada, who is likely here to just click the knockoff button. Iron Moth comes on in on the knockoff. Pretty good. But unfortunately, it does damn near the same damage it did when it didn't have an item. Doesn't make too much sense to me, but that's just a strong Meowscarada, it seems. Sucker Punch doesn't do anything. We see a Morning Sun coming off on the Iron Moth. Not really recovering a ton considering the weather, but it is some HP. We see a Sucker Punch this time. This guy was probably wanting to go for a Fiery Dance or something, and then the Meowscarada took it out. Annihilate doesn't have a nickname because this thing is just Annihilate. It's good. Thunderous switches on in on this guy. We see a Rage Fist coming off, still doing a lot of damage even if it is just base 50 at this time. See Jirachi coming in on this guy. We see a Thunderbolt. And then a sub, trying to see what this Jirachi has in store, considering its name is Thun. We see a Wish coming off on Jirachi. This thing is probably just meant to take hits. Then we see a Nasty Plot, a sub-Nasty Plot Thunderous Therian on a Paralysis. That is some very bad luck. So Table Guy is able to just get +4 on him for free. Actually just costing a substitute, and that's it. You see a sub coming off because he has the HP for it. Body Slam ends up taking it out. I can understand why he would just keep doing that, considering that the Paralysis ended up working out for Table Guy. But Hubris is one's weakness. Body Slam takes out the Thunderous. Just like Iger planned. Look at that. Okay, I gotta stop. I'm not gonna, but I gotta. We see a knockoff, which takes out this Jirachi. And we see Annihilate coming in. Probably could take a knockoff pretty well. That's why it's in, of course, I'm sure. We see a Drain Punch coming off. Probably, this thing is probably the Colbur, which can take a knockoff pretty well. The Drain Punch would have gotten back all the HP, and then you're at a free 100 base power Rage Fist. That's pretty decent. We see a Taunt, so this thing cannot chill your reception. It can't recover or anything. We see a Rage Fist coming off. Psychic Noise doing a lot of damage. And no healing for the Annihilate. Meowscarada comes in. Rage Fist doing a little bit of damage. See Heal Block coming off, which is pretty good. The knockoff takes off the Punching Glove, so it was not Berry like I was thinking it was. And that's just the end for the Annihilate. We see the Noivern coming to take its place, using a Draco Meteor, taking out that Meowscarada. Blastoise comes in. Are we seeing more Iron Press stuff? Shell Smash instead on the Super Fang. That's pretty scary. See Liquidation coming off, not doing a ton to the Noivern. This thing must be max HP or something. Super Fang coming off, just chipping away at this Blastoise. Liquidation ends up taking out the Noivern. We see the Primarina. Yeah, that's actually better. I was about to say I'm surprised we don't see Ogerpon, but the speed boost is probably not enough to take on the +2 speed boost on Blastoise here. We see Endure coming off. We see an Energy Ball hitting the Blastoise. Ends up having the Rindo Berry, but it doesn't really matter. We see a Flail, which is pretty sick tech on this thing. Endure Flail to knock down a Pokemon to very low HP for something else to come in and revenge it. That's pretty neat, not gonna lie. See Latias coming in, taking the place of Blastoise, killing this Primarina with a Psyshock. Ogerpon comes in. We see Terra Ogerpon. Doesn't have a cool nickname, unfortunately. So that means Table Guy's going to have to guess what this thing is here for. Probably because it's Ogerpon, right? Swords Dance after the speed boost. Ice Beam, very risky. Could have gotten a freeze, but there was no freeze. And also could have maybe died. But it didn't, so that's pretty neat. See a knockoff killing the Latias. We see Cinderace coming in. Do we see a Sucker? We do see a Sucker, but Iger called it and goes for a Swords Dance, making this thing +4. Then a Sucker Punch again, making this thing... Wait a damn minute. This thing is banded. So he called that, and now he is free to just click Swords Dance 8 times. Letting this thing just click Sucker Punch over and over and over again. Because it doesn't even matter if the Slowking comes in, because this thing's just going to click Knockoff. And then the Cinderace will have to outspeed it somehow, which it won't. Thanks to the speed boost. See another Swords Dance. I'm just kind of talking while we see these Swords Dance, Sucker Punch that we see right in front of us. Was that the last one? It is the last one. So now we see a Stomping Tantrum from the Ogerpon, knocking out the Cinderace. And then Slowking comes in, takes a knockoff, not very well at all. And that is the game. So a couple things about this match, right? The Sub nasty. Thunderous is pretty cool. I really liked seeing Flail on the Shell Smash Blastoise. That was very cool. It looked like it was mixed Latios, which is pretty nice as well. I think Earthquake might have been used in Gen 7 or something on, I think Latios mostly. Mega, to be more specific. So Expert Belt mixed on this Latios, pretty good. What can we say about Iger? Well, in building, I really like this idea. Just don't bring it to a match. Don't bring these nicknames to a match. The most impressive part is that he won, even though 2/3 of his team was broadcasted almost to his opponent. That is the #1 coach in Midnight Difference, folks. Great game. Last but not least, we have the Dusk match between Mars from Discord and Boaz22 is back. I think this is just the highest rating game that I had rated on Dusk. I do like a 1 to 5 scale. And I was too tired to watch through all the games again. So this is what we have. Let's see leads. Honestly, anything on Boaz's side besides the Cryogonal could be a pretty decent lead. And I guess the Welsh, we have Shedtail. So the Sceptile might be coming. So any of these 5 would be pretty good lead. Mars? Jirachi? We'll say Jirachi or Alamamola. Clefable, just kidding, and Jirachi, so we got half of it. We see Boaz has brought, looks like Terra Water Noivern. And then Mars has Terra Fairy Arboliva. Let's get into the game. Thunderwave off from the Jirachi, just another Thunderwave game here we see. And we get the Para on the Fairy. That is nuts. We see the, what is that guy, Tinglu coming in to take that. Or just to come in. We see rocks getting set up on both sides. Arboliva comes in. We see the guy, his name, Cryogonal, taking the place of the Tinglu, probably to get rid of these rocks. We see the Terra Blast from the Arboliva doing a little bit of damage. Not a ton, but just a little bit. Nice little chip. Freeze Dry onto the incoming Jirachi, which ended up being the Zoroark into the Jirachi again. And then a Freeze Dry. Probably switching out here into the Tinglu. And then do we see an Iron Head? We see an Aura Sphere, actually. So are you special Jirachi then? Maybe more support. We see Arboliva coming on in against this Tinglu. We see a Spikes. So we're spike stacking on Mars's team today. We see the Magic Guard, or maybe even Heavy Duty Boots Clefable, taking a Leech Seed. It is Magic Guard, since the Leech Seed didn't activate, I think. Yep, that's what that means. So Arboliva switches out for Arboliva, which is actually the Zoroark, which is taken down by a Psyshock. We see the Primarina taking the place of the Zoroark. Cryogonal comes in probably to try to freeze dry this thing. We see a sub coming off from Mars's side, and a Rapid Spin to get rid of them rocks, which is pretty good for Boaz. We see a Moonblast not doing well enough against the Snowflake here. Freeze Dry doesn't even take out the sub, but that's the Light Screen power for you. And we see a Surf taking out the Cryogonal, so rocks coming up again from Mars's team will be here to stay. We see a Leaf Blade crit taking out the sub that Mars had up. We see a Moonblast almost killing the Sceptile, which ended up eating the Citrus Berry. Is this thing some sort of setup, or is this thing Shedtail? Probably Shedtail. Nope, we see a Tinglu. Otherwise, actually, I don't think you had enough to do it, did you? I don't think you had enough to Shedtail. Nope, I don't think so. I think you need 50 to Shedtail. See a Tinglu coming in. I don't know how well this takes a Moonblast. It takes it decently well with the berry. It probably doesn't take it well without it. We see the Sceptile coming on in, and then we see a sub. There was not any sort of reason to not click Moonblast, but the sub was definitely better. See a Leaf Blade coming off, and we will see a dead to Moonblast Sceptile here. And then a dead to Life Orb Primarina. So a free switch in for both sides, it looks like. Arboliva versus the Noivern. We see that the Leftovers was revealed, even though we already knew that. Clefable comes in. See a Terra Blast doing a little bit of a kind of a decent chunk to the Clefable, I think. So we see a Leech Seed again, although this thing is confirmed to be Magic Guard, so we're not going to take any HP from that. We see another screen being set up, and then a Paralysis onto the Clefable. See another Moonblast coming off. We see a Psyshock doing very little, and then the Grassy Terrain coming back up, so that these guys can get some more HP back. Terra Blast doing a little bit of damage. We see Psyshock. It looks like the Arboliva will win this War of Attrition here. Win the 1v1, rather, is what they say. See another Terra Blast killing the Clefable. I'm not entirely sure. Maybe the Alomomola cannot take the Terra Blast, but then again, if he switches into the Alomomola, there would be probably an Energy Ball coming off from the Arboliva. So we see Alomomola coming in. Actually, we see a Scald come off. Trying to get that burn. We see a Leech Seed to get back some recovery. This thing's plan is just to live forever. Jirachi comes on in, so we might not actually have the damaging grass move, which is very interesting. Jirachi comes in, as I said. We see a Scald. Do we see a burn this time? We do not see a burn. We do see some HP getting chipped away from the Alomomola. Scald versus the Aura Sphere. We see a Scald burn finally here on the Jirachi. Almost back up to full HP because of that nice Leech Seed. We see the Frisk guy coming back in. Did we leftovers? So yeah, we already knew. Thunderwave, very good on Mars's part for the very fast Noivern. Arboliva comes on in because it's a fairy type, cannot get Dracoed at all. See a Dragon Dance Noivern. Terastallizing into water, but getting hit by the Paralysis, unfortunately, for Boaz. But we see, what was that? Was it Terra Blast? Yeah, I think he did use Terra Blast last time, so I think that's his only damaging move, the Arboliva. See another Dragon Dance coming off from the Noivern into the Terra Blast, as I was saying. Very low HP on this Noivern. See an Acrobatics not doing anywhere near enough. The only thing that it really accomplished was getting up the terrain for Mars. We see the Tinglu coming on in, taking half from that Terra Blast. Whirlwind out into the terrain. Loving Hawlucha, getting off that Unburden with the defense raise. So we see a Swords Dance on the switch. We see a Drain Punch, actually, which is very fair, because this thing would definitely die to it. Then you just have the Alomomola to take care of, but we see that Alomomola is Rocky Helmet, so it's not really taking that much recovery from the Alomomola, unfortunately, for the Hawlucha. We see the Acrobatics, so we're probably not seeing any form of setup from this Hawlucha. See a Burn, so a very nice timed burn. So this thing is really just going to keep hammering into the Alomomola and not doing too much, probably. And then it can Wish. Probably get the Tinglu back up. We see a Swords Dance finally from Mars. We see a Wish. I feel like you should have Swords Dance a little earlier than that, but better late than never, I suppose. Terrain goes away. We see another Swords Dance, probably on the Protect. We see a Flip Turn, which is still going to have the effect that we need against this Tinglu. Because even though it's at 78, this thing is at +4, but it's also burned, so hard to really tell what a Drain Punch is going to do. Alomomola comes on in. Do we see a recovery before the Rocky Helmet? We don't. So it didn't really gain that much back. If anything, they're back in the same position, except for Tinglu is at like 50% more health. See an Acrobatics coming off, not taking out the Alamomola all the way. You see a Wish as the Burn takes out the Hawlucha. We see the Weavile coming on in. We see Protect and a Swords Dance onto that Protect. Very easy to read Wish Protect. We see a knockoff coming off on the Weavile, getting rid of that Rocky Helmet. A Scald not burning the Weavile. Tinglu comes on in. Do we see another knockoff? We do. No item because it was Roselia Berry, I just remembered, so. Icicle Crash, pretty good, because if this thing was triple axle and this thing still had the Rocky Helmet, that would be bad news for the Weavile. So Icicle Crash is a pretty good bring here, and it kills the Alamomola. We see the Tinglu coming on in. Can it take an Icicle Crash? Does not seem that it can from a +2 Weavile, and that is good game to these Dusk guys. I really liked seeing the Arboliva being just annoying, living forever, and also there was some pretty good Swords Dance plays here from the Weavile. I probably would have done it earlier on the Hawlucha, as I said, but it didn't matter because Mars won. Rocky Helmet was a great bring here. Dragon Dance was very interesting. A physical Noivern. I don't think its physical attack is all that big, so I don't really know how well it was going to do, but I don't know, man. There was a plan somewhere. So, great game to the Dusk guys. In the final leaderboard stats of this season of the LYCANROC Battle League, we have Guy at the top with his Iron Valiant going 16-5. Jirachi Enjoyer Zamazenta seemed to take the second place spot at 13-7. Iger's Iron Moth coming in third at 12-2. Inversify's Komao getting 11-5. And then Guy's Kirim taking the last spot in 11-5 as well. So Guy's got two guys up at the top. I think he's second place or something from last week, so that makes sense that he'd have a couple of guys up there at the top. And then the final Midday stats, standings, what have you. We have Awan's Raging Bolt taking the Hisuian Arcanine spot at 17-6. We have the already mentioned Hisuian Arcanine at 16-3. Ditto's Landorus Incarnate at 14-5. Snex Torterra keeping it at 14th place with 12-0. And Hydreigon from Holy Macaroni at 12-3. Finally, we have Dusk. Deadpool's Spectrier creeps up to the top spot at 21-6. Mr. Ric Flair's Terrifying Terastallizing Porygon Z at 20-5. Egotistical Alekid's Terapagos at 17-6. Boaz's Hoopa at 16-1. And Raftmon's Quaquaval taking the 5th spot at 15-4. And on this slide, you see who gets into playoffs. We have Iger at the top spot going 8-1 with +22. Guy at second with 6-3 +11. And Versify at 5-4 +8. And then we see it going all the way down to Venus, who is going to take the 8th place spot over KJ. Very nice to see KJ, Eliza J, Jirachi Enjoyer, and Leganen taking place in this season of LBL. It'll be tough to see you guys go, but hopefully you'll stick around and cheer on your top 8 here. Very good job, everybody. In Midday, we got Holy Macaroni up at the top with 8-1 as well, but +27 over Iger's +22. Very impressive. Ditto at 8-1 as well, just 1 point away from Holy Macaroni's top spot. And then Sound of Snow coming in at third with 7-2 +12. We all knew that these three would be at the top. It was clear from week whatever. And then we see Driver, Snex, Stitch, and Awan and Whelmed taking the last remaining spots in playoffs. I don't think Kayla and Circle Button played their game, so, I mean, what can you really do? Thanks for Kayla, Fabian, King, myself, and Circle Button for taking place this season. I hope you guys stick around and cheer on your Midday guys as they try to see who is number 1 in that div. Last but not least, we have Dusk. We have Rafmon taking the top spot away from Boaz at 7-2 plus 21. This man's been climbing up the ranks. I think he was down here at the beginning, like at 9th or 10th or something, but he's really climbed up to the top spot. It's crazy to see it. See Boaz, well, he wasn't clearly there for long if he's 7-2. I'd have to look, but I'm not going to do that. I'm too lazy for that. We have Boaz with 7-2 plus 16. Mr. Ric Flair at 6-3 plus 14. And then the rest of the spots are taken by Egotistical Elekid, Deadpool 619, Jeremy and William D, and Mars, who was able to sneak up into playoffs ahead of these four fine folks. We have Now Cole, Roy Johnson, Barry, and Blaze not making it in, unfortunately. I hope you guys stick around and cheer on your Dusk competitors. It was great to see everybody here on behalf of the mod team take place in this season, and I hope to see you guys for Season 6. And for the Pickems, we have a 42% for Midnight, so just a little bit easier, I guess, for folks to figure out who's going to play. There was one forfeit loss in Midnight, so I think I counted that game. How did that game do? I'd need to look at it first. I was looking at week 8. That game ended up being a Pick'em's correct percentage anyway, so you got a free one there, it looks like Midnight. And in Midday, we have 58%. I did mention that there was a forfeit loss there, so that probably... I think that might have hindered it, considering that it was against the last place player. It was actually a tie between the two, so I counted that as a no. Sorry, Midday. Ending up with a 58, still pretty good because it's the best on the board. We see Dusk with a 42 is what I would put on the layout. I don't think there was any forfeit losses, so thanks Dusk for playing all your games. And that is this week's Pick'ems, the last Pick'ems for the main season. And that is it for the main season of the LYCANROC Battle League's 5th season. I thank you all so much for watching so far, and from this point on, it's the best of the best trying to fight for that title for the Season 5 champion. I'll see you guys for that one. Like this video if you have not already. Subscribe if you're new to the channel, only if you want to, of course. Not here to twist your arm and do anything you don't want to do. I will encourage you, though, to hit that bell so you know what it is I am uploading. And with all that being said and more, this has been your boy, Snowy Kurama. I will see you for the quarterfinals of the LBL. Bye-bye.